Did you know that the most powerful chickens ever bred, birds that can weigh as much as a small child, lay eggs through blizzards, and survive without a single dollar of feed, were quietly erased, not by disease, not by nature, but by an industry that needed you to never find out they existed? These 9 breeds were hunted to the edge of extinction. Some were locked away for royalty. Some were suppressed because they made feed companies useless. And one breed had its DNA literally stolen, cloned into a disposable version, and the original was left to die. The chicken on your plate right now, it exists because of a bird the industry doesn't want you raising. Hang around, because what you're about to hear will completely change how you think about chickens forever. One of these 9 could be the most valuable decision you ever make on your land. This channel goes deep into farming knowledge the industry buries. Subscribe and hit that bell so none of it passes you. By Number 1. The Brahma. They don't call it the king of all poultry for nothing. Picture a chicken the size of a turkey, feathered feet that drag across the ground, a chest so broad it looks like it's been lifting weights, roosters that tip the scales at 18 pounds, hens holding steady at 12 to 14. This is not your backyard Easter chick. This is an animal that commands an entire yard just by walking into it. But the Brahma's real power isn't its size. It's its calendar. Every other chicken on your property will look at a winter sky, feel that cold air drop, and shut down. Egg production falls off a cliff. You're lucky to get 1 egg a week from most breeds when temperatures plunge. The Brahma flips the script entirely. It lays from October through May. The dead of winter is its prime season, when snow is on the ground and your other hens are sitting in the corner doing nothing. The Brahma is filling your egg basket with large brown eggs like it's mid-July. 150 to 200 eggs per year, not in spring. In winter, that's the gap no other bird fills. So why is it almost gone? 9 months. That's how long it takes a Brahma to reach processing weight. In a world where the Cornish cross hits the freezer in 42 days, the industry looked at 9 months and laughed. Too slow, too expensive, not profitable. So they stopped promoting it, stopped breeding it commercially, and let it fade into obscurity. What they forgot, or what they hoped you'd never realize, is that a bird laying through winter without supplemental lighting isn't slow. It's strategic. For a homesteader or small farmer, the Brahma isn't behind the curve. It's filling the exact gap every other breed leaves wide open. Number 2, the Jersey Giant. The bird originally bred to replace the turkey on American tables, and for a while, it almost worked. Roosters hitting 13 to 15 pounds. Hens at 10 to 11, extra large dark brown eggs. Up to 260 eggs per year from a single hen. One single bird can feed a family of 4. That's not an exaggeration. That's documented. Early American farmers in the 1800s were raising Jersey Giants specifically because they wanted a bird big enough to make turkey irrelevant. The flavor? Richer. The yield? Comparable. The cost to raise on pasture? A fraction of what turkey demanded. 8 to 9 months to mature killed it commercially. Same problem as the Brahma, but worse optics in a world racing toward faster and faster production cycles. The Cornish cross was hitting 6 weeks. 6 weeks versus 9 months. The industry didn't even need to make an argument. The math looked devastating on paper, unless you understand that a Jersey Giant on pasture, feeding itself, producing eggs for most of its life, then delivering 20 pounds of meat, is an entirely different economic calculation than a 6-week bird demanding round-the-clock feed and never laying a single egg. That calculation never made it into mainstream farming conversation, and the Jersey Giant slipped toward extinction. Number 3. The Cochin. This one breaks every rule of modern poultry thinking. Round, fluffy, almost impossibly gentle. The Cochin looks less like a farm animal and more like a decorative pillow someone dropped in your yard. Medium large brown eggs. 150 to 180 per year. Solid weight at 10 to 11 pounds for roosters. But none of that is why the Cochin matters. The Cochin will hatch any egg, any egg at all. Place a duck egg under a Cochin hen, and she will sit on it, turn it, protect it, and when it hatches, she will raise that duckling as her own. Turkey eggs, she'll hatch them. Guinea eggs, done. The Cochin does not discriminate. She is the most devoted, relentless mother in the poultry world. And her brooding instinct is so powerful that farmers have been exploiting it for over a century to hatch breeds that lost their own natural brooding behavior. Here is where the real crime of industrial farming shows itself. Electric incubators became cheap. Hatcheries could produce thousands of chicks without a single hen sitting on a single nest. The brooding instinct, the very thing that made breeds like the Cochin irreplaceable, was reclassified as a liability. A hen that goes broody stops laying eggs. From an industrial standpoint, that's lost revenue. So breeders deliberately selected against brooding behavior for decades. They created hens that lay like machines and mother like nothing. Hens that have completely lost the instinct to raise their own young. The Cochin refused to give that up. And for that, the industry walked away from it. A self-sustaining flock that requires no incubator, no temperature monitoring, no hand-raised chicks. The Cochin is not a heritage breed curiosity. It is infrastructure. Number 4. This one is going to stop you cold. The Dong Tao, the dragon chicken. This bird comes from a single village in Vietnam, Dong Tao commune in Hung Yen province, and it looks like nothing else alive. Its legs are not legs. They are thick, scaled, prehistoric columns of flesh that belong on a Jurassic reptile. The scales are massive, the feet grotesquely oversized, and the meat, particularly inside those legs, is unlike anything the Western world has tasted. Dense, rich, a texture Vietnamese chefs describe as unlike any other protein on Earth. Up to 13 pounds of body weight, meat that sells for $2,000 per bird. Breeding pairs fetching $2,500 on the private market. This is not a chicken. This is a luxury asset with feathers. For centuries, the Dong Tao was raised exclusively for Vietnamese royalty and high-ranking officials. Commoners didn't eat it. Commoners didn't raise it. It was kept, protected, and controlled within a very small geographic area. When Vietnam began opening economically, breeders attempted to export Dong Tao genetics internationally, but export restrictions kept the pure bloodlines locked inside the country. The result? A breed so rare, so geographically contained, and so difficult to hatch. Those enormous scaled legs make natural mating physically challenging, and the eggs require careful incubation that the global population never grew. Because the Western poultry industry never found a way to profit from it at scale, no one invested in its preservation. The Dong Tao is not nearly extinct because it's weak or inferior. It's nearly extinct because it was too valuable to the wrong people for too long, then forgotten by everyone else. Number 5. The Malay, the tallest chicken alive. One of the oldest living breeds on the planet, 3 feet tall. Stand next to a Malay and it comes up to your knee. Stand it next to a commercial broiler and it looks like a different species entirely. Lean, upright, chest like a fighter, eyes that track you across the yard, with an intelligence that makes you slightly uncomfortable. This breed has been walking the earth for 3,500 years. That number is not a rounding error. 3,500 years. It predates most of human civilization as we currently recognize it. 11 pounds average, extreme disease resistance, thrives on minimal input, survives in heat, in humidity, in conditions that would devastate a commercial flock inside a week. Here is the uncomfortable truth about why this bird is fading. You cannot sell antibiotics to a farmer whose birds never get sick. The commercial poultry industry is structurally dependent on sick birds. Not metaphorically, literally. Commercial flocks are preemptively dosed with antibiotics not because individual birds are ill, but because the conditions they're raised in guarantee disease spread unless the entire flock is medicated constantly. The system only functions when birds require pharmaceutical intervention to survive. A Malay doesn't need that intervention. It never has. In 3,500 years, no one ever built a pharmaceutical dependency into its genetics. That makes it commercially useless to every company profiting from poultry illness. Number 6, the Langshan. And the feed industry has very strong feelings about this bird, none of them good. 10 pounds for roosters. Around 180 eggs per year in a beautiful deep brown, occasionally with a purple tint so dark, it looks almost polished. Calm temperament. Excellent cold tolerance. The Langshan came out of China centuries ago, and when European and American breeders first encountered it, they noticed immediately that something unusual was happening with its feeding behavior. This bird can sustain itself on almost zero commercial feed. Give it pasture access, let it range, and a Langshan finds what it needs. Insects, grubs, plant matter, seeds. It forages with a focus and efficiency that makes most breeds look lazy. Farmers who transitioned to Langshans reported feed bills dropping dramatically, sometimes to near nothing during warm months on good pasture. Feed companies noticed, and feed companies are not passive actors in the story of which breeds survive and which ones disappear. When the majority of farming information, extension services, agricultural publications, and hatchery catalogs are funded directly or indirectly by companies selling feed, a breed needing almost none of it gets buried under recommendations for breeds demanding a great deal of it. The Langshan didn't approach extinction because of any failure of the bird. It approached extinction because it was a direct financial threat to an industry controlling the information farmers receive. Number 7, the Orpington, the one that makes the economics of heritage breeds impossible to ignore. 10 pounds, 250 eggs per year. And here is the number defining everything. 70% of its own diet sourced from pasture. A well-managed Orpington on good land produces 250 eggs annually while sourcing 70% of its nutrition from the ground beneath its feet. Run the numbers. A commercial laying hen requires roughly 90 pounds of feed per year to produce 250 eggs. An Orpington on pasture? Under $11 in feed costs. Same output, a fraction of the cost. Multiply that across 20 birds, 50 birds, 100 birds. The savings become structural. The Orpington is not a heritage breed with a good personality and a fluffy skirt. It is a feed cost elimination strategy wrapped in feathers. Feed companies understand this perfectly. That's why the Orpington has never appeared in a single sponsored farming recommendation in the modern era. The breeds promoted in every major commercial poultry guide require maximum feed inputs. A bird functionally removing a revenue stream from an industry gets quietly allowed to become rare. Number 8, the Australorp, the one carrying a record that 100 years of industrial science has never touched. 309 eggs from one hen in 1 year. No artificial lighting, no hormone supplementation, no pharmaceutical enhancement. This happened in 1923 during an Australian laying trial, and it has never been beaten. 100 years later, with all of modern genetic engineering, nutritional science, and controlled environment technology at the industry's disposal, the Australorp's natural record still stands. Today's commercial laying hens produce around 250 to 290 eggs per year under artificial light cycles, controlled temperatures, and optimized feed formulations. The Australorp hit 309 on pasture in the 1920s with none of that. 10 pounds for roosters, 8 for hens, cold hardy, calm, excellent dual-purpose performance as both a layer and a meat bird, a genetic ceiling the entire commercial poultry industry has been trying to reach for a century and failing. So why is it nearly gone from most farms? Because publicly acknowledging this breed's natural performance collapses the argument for expensive commercial hybrids. A heritage breed requiring no synthetic inputs outperforming a commercial hybrid requiring all of them makes the premium charged for genetics, feed formulations, lighting systems, and veterinary protocols very hard to justify. The Australorp doesn't just challenge industrial poultry, it disproves it. Number 9, the one they stole from, the Heritage Cornish. Every commercial broiler chicken on Earth, every single one carries Heritage Cornish genetics. That broad chest, that efficient muscle-to-bone ratio, that frame converting feed into meat faster than any other breed configuration. It all came from the Heritage Cornish, a bird refined over generations to produce exceptional meat with exceptional efficiency, that lived for years, reproduced naturally, walked, ran, foraged, and functioned as a complete living animal. Then the industry took it. They crossed Heritage Cornish genetics with White Plymouth Rock genetics and created the Cornish cross, the commercial broiler now representing over 95% of all chicken meat produced globally. The Cornish cross hits processing weight in 42 days, engineered for one thing: maximum muscle gain in minimum time. What they didn't engineer for, or more accurately, what they accepted as acceptable losses, was everything else. A Cornish cross at 6 weeks can barely walk. Its skeletal system cannot support its muscle mass. Its cardiovascular system cannot keep pace with its metabolic demands. Heart failure is common. Leg collapse is common. Natural reproduction is impossible for most birds. Every Cornish cross that exists was produced in a hatchery using artificial insemination. Without continuous human intervention, the Cornish cross would cease to exist within a single generation. The Heritage Cornish walks, runs, mates naturally, raises its own chicks, lives for years, and contributes to a flock across its entire lifespan, not just 6 weeks of it. The industry doesn't need the Heritage Cornish anymore. They took what they wanted, built a system requiring you to return to the hatchery for every single bird because nothing in the commercial system can reproduce itself, and left the original behind to quietly disappear. The Heritage Cornish is nearly extinct because it represents proof that the commercial broiler industry was built on genetic theft, and a living, breeding population is a walking reminder of what was taken and what was destroyed. 9 breeds, 9 different reasons they were pushed toward extinction, 9 different capabilities the modern farming system cannot replicate. Brutal winters, wiping out your egg supply from November through March? The Brahma fills that gap like nothing else alive. Serious meat on the table from a single bird? The Jersey Giant. Flocks raising themselves without incubators, heat lamps, or manual hatching? The Cochin is your infrastructure. Disease resistance strong enough to remove pharmaceutical dependency from your operation? Start with the Malay. Feed costs eating your margins? The Langshan and the Orpington are your financial defense, the single most proven natural laying performance in recorded history. The Australorp has a 100-year-old world record that says everything. An animal that lives fully, walks, breeds, raises its own young. The Heritage Cornish gives back what the commercial system took away. These breeds are not museum pieces. They are not nostalgic curiosities for people who like old things. They are functional, powerful, productive animals suppressed specifically because they worked too well for farmers and not well enough for corporations. The industry built a system where you buy birds that can't reproduce, feed them products they can't survive without, medicate flocks that would be healthy under different conditions, and restart the cycle every 6 weeks. It's an elegant trap. When you never know, there's an alternative. Now you know. This channel exists to surface exactly this kind of knowledge. The breeds, the systems, the truths that commercial agriculture spends a great deal of money keeping them buried. Subscribe and hit the bell notification so you're there when the next one drops. These 9 chickens almost vanished. They don't have to.